Hey, this is Chad with Excavation Revelation, your place for excavating strategies and where excavation topics are discussed. Today we're going to look at shifting in a 10-speed truck without using the clutch. It's also known as floating the gears. Your first step is get real familiar with your shifter and your shifting pattern. Because as always, you want to focus on the road, but also you're going to look at your RPMs. You want to be real comfortable with your shifting pattern. This is an Eaton Fuller transmission. It's a 10-speed. The whole way over to the left and down is first. Up into the center is second. Center and straight down is third. Whole way over to the right and up is fourth. Whole way to the right and down is fifth. To get up into your high end, your high side, hit your range selector to go up. You can now go over to sixth. Whole way over to the left and down is sixth. Center and up is seventh. Center and down is eighth. To the right and up is 9. To the right and down is 10. Your range selector back down into the low side. Make sure you're neutral. And of course, reverse is up to the left. Reverse does have a high and low side with your splitter. It's not too common to need your high side in reverse, so most of the time just leave it down for reverse. That's plenty fast for that. But the more you can get familiar with your shifting pattern, the more it becomes second nature. You don't have to think about it, you just know what gear you're in. The more you can concentrate on the road and also at your dash. On your dash, for shifting without using a clutch, you want to be real familiar with your tachometer. These are all rotations per minute. They're all times 100. So 5 means 500, 10 means 1,000, 15 means 1,500, etc. The range you want to be mainly concerned about is between 1,000 and 1,500 RPMs. Around 1,500 RPMs, 14 to 1,500 RPMs is where you want to use to watch to shift up. And once you get down around 1,000, focus on to shift down. Now granted, you can go higher if you're in more of a hurry to shift, but a good starting point if you're learning to float the gears is between this 1,000 and 1,500 RPM range. Obviously, the higher you go, the more you risk of overspeeding your engine. There's usually an orange or a red warning at the higher your tack goes. It's not good on your truck. And also, once you get up there, it's more common to have a problem such as a fan belt snapping or coming off or something like that. Trust me, I know. So you want to just try to keep it down in this range, but you can shift higher if you need to. A good spot to start is in this 1,000 to 1,500 RPM range. When you're ready to start out, you're in neutral, take a brake off, clutch in. Third gear is a good spot to start, especially if you're empty. If you're loaded pretty heavy, second gear works well. It's very rare you'll need first to start out unless you're on a really steep hill with a really heavy load. You can start first, but most of the time second works if you're loaded. Third is good if you're empty. Sometimes even fourth if you're on a decline. You can start out empty. Either of those, but third is a real good spot to start. So just ease into it. You're watching your RPMs. You'll start heading up your road. Once you get to 1,500 is where you're going to start to go to the next gear. You just take a very brief pause in neutral, then up to your next gear. Kind of like a 1-2 count. I'll show you here. So 1,500 up to fourth. We're in fourth, going to fifth. Fifth, now hit the splitter. Go to sixth. 6th to 7th, around 1,500, 7th to 8th, and if you've got more road, you can keep going higher. watching your RPMs. Once you get around 15, we'll go from 8 to 9. 15, neutral, up to 9. If you are matching your engine speed with your road speed, it'll go right in. Your transmission, it'll just float right between the gears. You don't need your clutch. It takes some practice, a lot to get used to go down, get around 10,000, or 1,000, I'm sorry. Give it a little blurb of gas, then drop it down a gear. You can then go back up. Get your RPMs up to around 1,500. We'll go from 8th to 9th again. Accelerate, let off, neutral, and up into gear. It's a good feeling when it goes in perfect. It's going to take a little practice. You never want to just jam it in or really force it if it's starting to grind. If it does start to grind a little bit, doesn't sound right, just back off, give it a little blurb of gas. You just want to try to match up your RPMs with your transmission to get it to fall into place. It usually doesn't take much adjustment to get it to fall in that. We're going to be starting up a hill, so we'll just downshift a little bit here. Let it drop to around 1,000. A little blurb of gas, a little blurb, and down to your lower gear. We're now in 8th. So I just pulled out in front of us, we're going to drop again. We'll blurt, down to 7. You want to feed a little bit of throttle to help get it some momentum to get out of gear. Then once you're neutral, you give it one more little tap on the throttle to match your RPMs up. It doesn't take much to get it to match up. We'll slow down here into 6th, little throttle. See, it didn't go, so then I just backed off and just gave it a little blurb again to get it to go. I like to say I did that on purpose, but I did not. So you go up a gear, 1,500 throttle, and up. Currently in 7th gear, I'm keeping that in mind. When I drop here, a little blurt, little blurt, little blurt. $1,500 up a gear. Up a gear. 15 up a gear. When you're going up, just do a 1-2 count. It's not necessarily 1 second or 2 seconds, but just making sure you're doing a very brief pause in neutral before you go up to the next gear. If you just go up real quick, you're not giving the transmission enough time to match the speed up. So you just want to give it a brief pause in neutral, do a 1 count, then up to your next gear for your 2 count. Downshift, get down around 1,000. The gas will blurt, drop you down to gear. Your 1-2 count also. Just give it a brief pause. 1,500, 1, 2, right here. Once you get some more practice, get used to that, you can even float, skip gears. Say you're in 9th, you want to drop down to 7th in a little bit of hurry. It's a matter of just matching up your RPMs with your engine speed. Your transmission and your engine, just matching them up with the right speed to get it to fall into place. Floating gears is going to save your left leg a little bit from clutching. You're not going to be as tired. It's just a smoother, it's even a little faster process of shifting. You can definitely use your double clutch all day, every day, but it's definitely a lot easier on you if you learn to float gears, and it works out quite well. It's a matter of keeping an eye on your RPMs in that sweet spot. About 500 RPMs is about the range for your ideal shifting. Now again, you can shift above 1500. You can go up another gear or so, but between 1000 and 1500, that 500 range is a good spot to be shifting. So now we're going to go from 9th to 10th, get up to 1500, get a little throttle, 1, 2, goes right in. Leave a comment if you guys have any questions about any of that. I know it's kind of hard to see, kind of hard to tell exactly what's going on. Or maybe you're a veteran, you've been floating gears for a long time, and maybe you got an interesting story about how when you learned. I'd love to hear it. There's definitely many stories out there. So now we'll go from 10th down to 8th. I use the clutch, so.